Hey there, it's me, Lottie, and today what I thought I would do was share with you some of my adoptee related haul and TBR, and I already read, and just adoptee authored or adoptee related books. The first book we have here is The Guild of the Infant Savior, an Adopted Child's Memory Book by Megan Culhane Galbraith. This says, shortly before Roe v. Wade legalized abortion, adoptee Megan Culhane Galbraith was born in a Catholic charity hospital in New York City to a teenaged resident of the Guild of the Infant Savior, a home for unwed mothers. Decades later, on the eve of becoming a mother herself, she would travel to the former Guild site, to her birth mother's home in Scotland, and to Cornell University, where she discovered the startling history of its domestic economics program. That was tripped out. So I don't want to read more. As you can see, I've flagged. I didn't even flag as much as I really want to read this again now, but it's really an artistic book, if that makes sense. The author is also created these vignettes that go along with the story and real photographs that she found. So it's like a collage. And I love collage art. It really resonated with me, and I really loved this book. I had to own it. The rest of these I have not read, but they excited me. This one here, Unnatural Selection by Andrea Ross. I heard about this book on a podcast, and I really was excited because it talks about adoption and the wilderness, like the healing power of nature from an adoptee. It says, adopted at birth, Andrea grew up inhabiting two ecosystems. One was her tangible adoptive family, the other her birth family, whose mysterious landscape was hidden from her. In her early 20s, while working as a ranger in Grand Canyon National Park, she embarked on a journey to discover where she came from and ultimately who she was. Of course, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but to me, that just was the best of all worlds, right? Nature, environment, healing, wilderness, adoption. This next book, now, I listen to this gentleman's podcast regularly. I really appreciate it. And this is his memoir. It says Damon L. Davis was born in and adopted from Baltimore, Maryland, and grew up well-adjusted in Columbia, Maryland. He is the host and producer of the Who Am I Really podcast, where adoptees tell their own stories of adoption and share experiences about their attempts at reunion with their birth families. Who am I really is a question many adoptees ask when they realize they have another family of genetic relation. And Damon L. Davis shares his journey through life as an adoptee to becoming an adoptive parent himself. So here we have an adoptee memoir, and this person is also an adoptive parent. So that I'm looking forward to reading. This book here is, I'm pretty sure it's young adult. It is written by Glodine Champion, who is an adoptee. I heard her story on the Black to the Beginning podcast, and I learned of her writing this book, and I ordered it because I wanted to support adoptee authors. I don't even know if the character in the book is an adoptee, so I'm going into this one not knowing. In 1965, The Circle in Watts, Los Angeles was a close-knit Black community filled with its own particular joys and troubles. Set against the backdrop of racism and everyday police brutality, This vibrant neighborhood comes alive in salmon croquettes as 12-year-old Zayla Lucille McKinney grapples with the confusion of feeling like a boy trapped in a girl's body. Is she what the other girls call her, a bulldagger? And what does that even mean? So it definitely sounds like our main character is exploring issues around gender and sexual orientation and sorting through their own feelings about themselves. So I am looking forward to reading this book as well. This book is for my I'm in a adoptee book club, and we read different books every month, and I listened to an episode of Adoptees On, and this author Jan Beatty was on there, and I just absolutely am excited to read this and to learn more about her poetry and other written works. It says, American Bastard is a lyrical inquiry into the experience of being a bastard in America. This memoir travels across literal continents and continents of desire as Beatty finds her birth father, a Canadian hockey player who's won 3 Stanley Cups, and her birth mother, a working class woman from Pittsburgh. This is not a whitewashed story, but the real story where Beatty writes through complete erasure, loss of name and history, and a culture based on the currency of gratitude as expected payment from the adoptee. Sandblasts, the exaltation of adoption in Western culture and the myth of the chosen baby. I am really looking forward to digging into this one next, actually, because it's our book club selection for this month. This book I found at a discount store. I found it at Ollie's, and I saw on the cover, okay, it's called That Kind of Mother by Ruman Alam. I hope I'm saying that correctly, or Alam. It says an outstanding depiction of motherhood and cross-racial adoption, an astonishing book, as noted by the Washington Post. I bought this a while back, and I'm not sure where my own personal consciousness was around certain adoption narratives. So I didn't even check to see if this was written by an adoptee. So I did check recently and come to find out that this author is an adoptive parent who wrote this story and is raising, he's from Bangladesh, and he is raising 2 Black sons with his husband in real life. So I will have to see how this does as it relates to speaking to an adoptee focused story. So we'll see. And this book I learned about on a really helpful website called Adoptee Reads, I think it is, that lists all these books by adoptees, those that are considered required reading for growth and healing as an adoptee, unpacking the institution of adoption. And this book was written by Rebecca Carroll, Surviving the White Gaze, a memoir. And it says, a stirring and powerful memoir from Black cultural critic Rebecca Carroll, recounting her painful struggle to overcome a completely white childhood in order to forge her identity as a Black woman in America. Rebecca Carroll grew up the only Black person in her rural New Hampshire town, adopted at birth by artistic parents who believed in peace, love, and zero population growth. Her early childhood was loving and idyllic, and yet she couldn't articulate the deep sense of isolation she increasingly felt as she grew older. So it sounds like she's a biracial woman. It says she does meet her birth mother, who is white. as a biracial adoptee, I am especially interested in narratives that have a adoptee that is of biracial black and white origin. So this one I picked up, and I'm looking forward to reading this too. So these are just a few. I will get back with further reviews. I tend to just write on Facebook or Goodreads what my reviews are. Like, I'm not a book critic. I'm not a booktuber. I am just someone who loves to read, and that's the way that I go about unpacking information and putting it into bite-sized pieces for myself through reading. So these are my adoptee related TBR for the next we'll see. This will probably be through the rest of the winter and maybe into spring, because I keep a lot of books in rotation. So I hope that you are doing well, and I would love to know what you're reading these days, especially if you are an adoptee or learning about the adoptee experience because you are somehow a part of the adoption triad, or adoption has touched your life in some way. So feel free to let me know in the comments what you're currently reading and any other recommendations you might have for me to read. I've read a few, just a few so far. So I'm definitely open to any recommendations that you have. And I hope you're doing well. I hope you're warm and cozy in this cold, cold weather that we have here in Michigan. I will see you in the next video. And until then, take care.